Hey guys, I want to start going through Genesis chapter by chapter and verse by verse, and we're just going to call this series a journey through Genesis. So we're just going to read Genesis chapter 1, make a few comments as we're studying and looking at these things, and see what we can figure out. So I'm going to go ahead and start. This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. It says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth." Now, let me move this real quick. It's important to note here, you guys, that this is the beginning of this earth and the creation of this world, planet Earth. This is not the beginning of everything, of when the sun was brought forth, then the angels were created. This is our world that this is talking about here. And who was it that created this earth? Well, that would have been Jesus, the Son. But we know that the Father is the real creator, but he created everything by his Son. So both of them play a part in all creation. And let's look at a verse here. Let's look at Ephesians 3:9. Notice what it says. It says, "And to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the world has been hid in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ." Okay, so God, the Father, He is the source of everything. He has created all things. He even made His Son. He brought forth His own Son. Okay, so He's responsible for all creation. But He, through His Son and by His Son, He has created all things. So His Son would be like the master builder. So they both have created all things. So it's important to know that, because in this chapter 1, we're going to see there's a conversation that takes place. So let's continue. Let's made a few notes. "And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters." So this earth, it would have been down here. There would have been no dry land appeared anywhere. It would have been covered with all water. And we see that the Spirit of God, okay, well, that's God's Spirit, the Spirit of the Father and the Spirit of the Son. It was moving upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. He spoke it, and it was there. It's incredible. That makes me think of a verse in Psalms 33:9. In fact, let's look at 33:6 through 9. Let's start in verse 6. Notice it says here, "By the word of the Lord were the heavens made." By His word, you guys, spoken into existence. The Son spoke it. Oh, it's incredible. "And all the host of them by the breath of His mouth." You guys see that? The breath, the Spirit. That's what the breath is. It's the Spirit. "He gathered the waters of the sea together as a heap. He laid up the depth in storehouses. Let all the earth fear the Lord. Let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of Him." Oh, wow, how awesome is that, eh? "For He spake, and it was done. He commanded, and it stood fast." He spoke it, you guys, into existence. How incredible is that? And just like it says here, let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of Him. Man, that's one of my favorite verses. Okay, so let's continue. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Okay, verse 6. "And God said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters." Because remember, there's all water. There's no dry land yet. "Let there be a firmament in the middle of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." So now let's keep track of this. "And God made the firmament." So He made a firmament, which is our sky. "And He divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so." Now, remember this. "And God called the firmament heaven." So the firmament, you guys, heaven, our sky, That's heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. So above us, above our sky, you guys, there's water. That would make sense because during the flood, when the windows of heaven opened up, water came gushing out. That would make sense because there's water above us. That's incredible. All right, verse 8 verse 9. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let dry land appear." And it was so. Now this is the point when dry land was brought forth out of the water. Okay, so now dry land is here. And God called the dry land earth. You know what that makes me think of? Like a beast coming up out of the sea from Revelation. That's kind of what I think of when I see that there. But he called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." And it was so. See, that's our food supply right there. You guys, right there. Right here on the third day, this is all of our food supply that we're supposed to eat, that we're going to be eating in heaven, because there's no death. No animals die. Okay, verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven." Remember, the firmament is heaven. It's called heaven. It would be like our sky. But we would think of the universe also. "To divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years." So these lights in the heavens, you guys, the sun, the moon, and stars, they are signs. Okay, and they're for seasons, for days, and for years. How to keep track. Almost like a calendar type. "And let them be for the lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. Obviously, that's the sun and the moon. And he made the stars also. So there we go. We have all the heavenly luminaries. You got the sun, the moon, and all the stars. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. So we see, so what we would call our sky, the universe, heaven, that's where the sun, the moon, and the stars were set. And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth," and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. Yeah, because these are the water animals, because the land animals don't come up yet. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Now we're on the sixth day right here, you guys. We're going to see, and it says, "And God said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good." Now this is my favorite verse of this chapter, because remember, we noticed earlier in this chapter that God the Father has created all things, and he created all things by his Son. So we see there's two individuals that are involved in creation, the Father and the Son. And this lines up all through the scriptures once your eyes are opened up to this truth. Now, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Okay, Adam was crowned king of creation, and this was his dominion. This was his territory. He was to rule in place of God here on the earth. This is absolutely phenomenal, because we saw that God created all things through his Son. So we see there's two individuals. And then it says here, and God said, let us make a man in our image. That's beautiful, because that's the counsel of peace that we would see in Zechariah 6:13. That's between them both. The Father was talking to the Son right here, you guys. God was in conversation. The Father was talking to his Son, and he said, let us make man in our image. And what is the image of God, you guys? God made man, Adam, and from Adam he took a rib from within him, and he brought forth Eve. So there was two beings. One came from the other, but was just as human as Adam. Isn't that amazing? That's a picture of the Father and the Son. He was teaching the angels and all the beings in the universe, you guys, of how the Son of God came to be, how he was brought forth from the Father. Isn't that amazing? Oh man, that's one of my favorite verses right there. And a good reference for that would be Romans 1:20. If we look, and in fact, I'm going to read it. I got a note right here, Romans 1:20. This is a huge verse. Now notice what it says. It says, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. Okay, so the invisible things from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. So the things that are made illustrate to us the invisible things of heaven and of God, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Isn't that incredible? So everything in our natural world, the way God created it, it's to illustrate to us the invisible things of God that we can't see. So there was Adam and Eve, two beings. One came from the other, was brought forth as a rib, okay, and morphed into a woman. That's a picture of the Father brought forth his Son and gave birth to him in heaven before anything was created. His Son was begotten. Not created, but Jesus, he was born, he was brought forth, he was begotten. This is why in John 3:16 it says that God gave his only begotten Son, because he really did have a son that he gave birth to. God didn't need a woman to give birth to a child. Think about, everything begets after its own kind. Pain begets pain. Cattle beget cattle. Humans beget humans. And divinity begets divinity. Light begets light. It's incredible. That's one of my ultimate favorite verses in the scriptures. But we're going to continue in verse 27, and it says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Now, what's the image of God? Male and female created he them. The image of God is two beings, male and female. The Son of God is just as divine. He was brought forth from his Father, and he's just as divine as his Father. He was made equal with his Father. It's incredible. That's why in John 1:1 it says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word, Jesus, was God. Because they're both divine beings. Oh, it's absolutely incredible. Okay, verse 28. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion. Now a king has dominion, remember, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Adam was crowned king over the earth. This is how Satan got the crown, because when Adam and Eve sinned, Satan was now the ruler of this world. He was now the god of this world, because this is how he could go back and forth to the councils in the book of Job, chapter 1. And he could offer Jesus all the kingdoms of this world because he took the crown from Adam. But there's another note here I wanted to make. Actually, no, I can't find it. We'll continue. Just something to take note of, but let's look in verse 29. It says, And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. See, for food. This was Adam and Eve's food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given you every green herb for meat. And it was so. See, all the animals, before sin came in, they were to eat all the green herb of the field. Even the lions and everything, dinosaurs, whatever was here 6,000 years ago. And then they became meat eaters because of sin, obviously, when death came in. And then the last verse, And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So land animals and man was created on the sixth day, and that's when God said that it was very good. All the other days it was good, but on that sixth day, when Adam was brought forth from the earth, and then Eve was brought forth from Adam, that was very good. It's incredible. So, and that was the image of God. Two beings, one came from the other. And we're going to get much more into the Son of God later as we go through this, but I absolutely love that. And that's why the female, the feminine, the woman is always associated with the Son of God, with Christ in the scriptures. Whether it's wisdom, whether it's just the woman, the female, the feminine, it's always associated with Jesus. And that's why, because a female was taken out of man. Jesus was taken out of God. He was his son. He was brought forth. He's God's only son. It's incredible. But right there, when it says, Let us make man in our image, you guys, that's the Father talking to his Son right there. And let's look at that. If we want to look at Zechariah, it's Zechariah 6:13. Notice what it says. Even he shall build the temple of the Lord, and he shall bear the glory, and shall sit and rule upon his throne, and he shall be a priest upon his throne. A king and a priest, a church and state union. Okay, now check this out. And the counsel of peace shall be between them both. Not three. It's between them both. It's between the Father and his only Son. That's who, the counsel of the Father, all the counsel of the Father is open up to his only Son. And Satan was very jealous of this, and he wanted, that power. And he wanted to make decisions, but God would let his secrets known to his Son, and only his Son. And then his Son would tell us, because everything Jesus teaches us and tells us, it comes from his Father. And we'll get into all that later. But I just wanted to open up with that first chapter, and just to show you guys that Adam was crowned king, because we see that he had dominion. He was the king, and then Satan became the king once he got into sin, which we'll see in chapter 3. Look at Psalms 8. Psalms 8, verses 3 through 5. It says, When I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars, which thou hast ordained. What is man, that thou art mindful of him? And the Son of Man, that thou visitest him? You know, Adam was a son of man, and God, he was a son of God too. And God would have visited him. For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and has crowned him with glory and honor. So Adam was crowned. You see that? He was crowned with glory and honor. And Satan is going to get that crown here in a couple chapters. So, anyways, that was chapter 1, and we're gonna take a journey through Genesis. We're gonna go make these videos chapter by chapter, and we're just gonna go verse by verse and just make a few comments as we study and we look at all these things. So, much more deeper studies can be done. These are just some real basics to get our feet wet to dive in and to look at these things. So, all right. Well, God bless you guys. Thank you, and we will be having video 2 up soon. So, take care, guys.